Hey everybody, this is Workforce Gaming. I'm Doug, along with Brad.
Hello.
And Brad got to play a game that I've been waiting to play for a long time and haven't just too many good games coming out. And I'm sitting here being very picky.
Yeah, you're being way too picky.
I, man, Near Horizon and then
Zelda.
Gravity. I'm, I'm not buying a Switch. Are you out of your mind? No, not yet.
uh,
I'm not buying a Switch yet. Did you buy a Switch?
no.
Okay, then we're not gonna talk about Switch.
Horizon though.
Right. So Horizon. So Brad actually got to buy Horizon. So actually, the way I want to preface this is because me and you, we kind of watch. We don't watch E3s together per se, but we do text each other while we're watching E3 separately. And I remember when Horizon Zero Dawn was first shown, it was we were both like, "This is amazing," and there's no way in hell this game is going to be like this. Um, that was my reaction anyway. My reaction is like, "There's no way the game could be like what they're showing."
Uh huh.
So I want to start there because I haven't touched Horizon yet. Now, if you can think back to that E3,
Yeah, the big where you take down the big ass dinosaur. Um.
well, leading up to that too, like you're sneaking through, you stab the one guy, and then there's like a herd of these antelope things. Like, so that whole
So okay.
promise of that game, like, was that promise delivered on? And I know it's kind of it's a
Yes.
weird. Oh,
Because I again, I'm picturing in my mind. I'm going back to that trailer, and if it's, I'm 90% sure I'm thinking of the same one because I can't remember which trailer was where, but that is how you approach a lot of things in this game is you look up, you use your little you have what's called a focus, and you look
yeah.
at your focus thing, and you can kind of like pinpoint where everything is, and you're like, okay, that thing's making this circle, that thing's making this circle, there's three of those over there, and then there's the big ass thing in the middle. Okay, if I sneak into the bushes there, I can silently kill that one, shoot a bow and kill that one. If I headshot it, it's dead. That leaves me with these two, and then I can go deal with that big ass thing right there.
Uh,
And the only thing I would say, thinking back to that trailer at this moment, having not watched it in like a year,
yeah.
the only thing that I can think of where I would say it maybe doesn't quite deliver, but again, even in my mind thinking about it, it kind of does. Is, and I think this is just a case of like that hype in your head and that like
Yeah.
looking at something you don't understand and seeing it is taking down those big things don't quite have the same impact it did in that trailer, but I think that's because you can do it fairly frequently in the game. You can go kind of hunt those things down.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think it's more one of those things of like, because the first time you do it, like, holy shit, like, there's some
Yeah.
cool things the way that the combat system works in terms of weak points and knocking shit off of these things and knockdowns and tie downs and elemental stuff. There's a lot going on in this combat. And I think that trailer sells the scale of it, but it almost undersells the amount of thinking you have to do in this game. Because this is not just your normal, like, there's a big ass thing, let me shoot it 18,000 times with my bow and arrow, and yay. There's
Mhm.
some, like, okay, it's got this weak spot, it's got a weakness to fire, and there's three other things running around. Like, how am I going to approach this? Like, there's a lot of different ways you can approach things in this, which makes it really cool. So I guess looking back at the trailer, I would, my gut instinct is to say yes, it absolutely lives up to the hype of that trailer.
Good God. Uh,
We'll be back next week when Doug can review
digest.
Horizon with me.
I might get near though. Yeah. No, but so okay. So I guess starting there. So I guess I am first of all. I'm glad that it kind of lived up to it. So I mean, you said it has a lot of thinking, and this is one of those things that I feel like I have noticed more this gen than I think last gen, where a lot of action games I've played, well, not even necessarily action games, but I feel like I'm required to think a lot more in games. Witness is kind of an extreme example because it's a puzzle game, but like
Yeah.
games like Hitman and Metal Gear Solid 5, whereas like, oh, okay, I can't. I mean, you can sort of go and running in guns a blazing, but that's not usually the most interesting way of doing it, nor is it really the best way of doing it. So you said there's like a lot of pre-planning, there's a lot of this. I mean, so do you enjoy that kind of thing where you are like staying there pre-planning and it's a lot of thinking and it's a lot of
First of all, I'll change our definitions of pre-planning because I know the way you play games versus the way I play games. That whole thing I described is about a 10-second thought in my head versus you, who I know
okay.
would be busting out the pause menu and drawing out a map and all this other nonsense. But I think it's almost, I think Metal Gear Solid 5 is a good comparison because it's not so much that you have to. It's like you said, that's the interesting way to do it. You
Yeah.
can sit there and probably just shoot bow and arrows, your basic bow and arrow at these things for 10 minutes and then it will fall down. You could probably approach it that way and be fairly to mildly successful.
Yeah.
Um, but that's not the I don't want to say the right way. That's not the way the game wants you to play. That's not the interesting way to play it. Just like
Mhm.
Metal Gear Solid 5, right? If you just run in there with an assault rifle and shoot everybody down, you're like, great, that was fun.
Yeah.
I think it's more of this idea of with this gen, there's options, right? Every one of those games you listed, in my mind, gives you gameplay options. And I think
Yeah.
that's something we've never seen before. And I think this is another game in that trend and in that step towards, this just completely open games that I'm sure we'll get eventually, where it's you can literally do anything, approach anything. There's a whole bunch of different systems built into it. I think it's more just a following in this trend of you have options. You can run in, you can shoot it down, you can go for your melees, you can go from distance, you can stealth, you have those options like you do in a Metal Gear.
Mhm.
And the more I think about this game, the more I could tell you this is like Metal Gear robot dinosaurs. Like that's basically what this game is. The comparisons to Metal Gear in this are incredibly huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell that Guerrilla, while they were working on this, they were either playing lots of Metal Gear 5 well that came out, talking to Kojima a whole lot more than anybody knows about, or
Yeah.
something. Because even with the stealth mechanics, right, you just see the guys walking around, and if you get in their cone of vision, boop, their light changes to red, and that means
Yeah.
right, and you've got your like little exclamation point above them, to the point where it's a circle with an exclamation point in it, and they're you know what I mean? So
Oh, really? Oh, that's kind of
and
funny. I
then
didn't
you
realize
go hide long enough, and then they'll slowly kind of do their wandering around and go, ah, fuck it, and then go back to their normal path. Like there's a
that. Yeah.
lot of Metal Gear in this game.
Jeez.
But yeah, no, I think it does draw those comparisons, and I do like it. It's done well, and it's done in a meaningful way. It's not in the like, we're gonna make you sit here and play in this because you don't have anything better to do with your time. It's
Yeah.
no, we're gonna make you do this because it makes sense, right? If you're fighting the dinosaur with a big ass cannon on your back, your first goal should be to get that cannon off its back so it can't shoot you with the cannon. You know what I mean? It's that
Yeah.
thing where it makes sense in universe. It makes sense the way that it fits into the story, the universe, the whole idea of what you're doing in the game.
Oh, yeah. So I guess speaking like on sort of the thing, like we keep drawing comparisons to Metal Gear Solid 5. One of the big things that Metal Gear Solid 5 like absolutely faltered on, and I think is like the perfect example of gameplay is not everything, was the story and the characters. And so, I mean, like, how does Horizon kind of approach that, especially in open world? Because I think every open world game kind of suffers with like with characters that kind of come in, come out, and story is sometimes kind of like trying to let you do craziness, but at the same time trying to like push you along this path.
Okay. Without getting into spoilers, which I do not want to do because I went into this game pretty much completely blind because I was really excited about it. So I stopped watching trailers a couple months before it came out and just kind of avoided it at all cost.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be as generic about this as I can because this game has one of the coolest stories ever. So I'm going to be very generic about this, and it might sound boring in that sense, but know that it is awesome.
Is it cooler than Danganronpa's story?
Yes.
Okay.
Easily.
Whoa.
Easily. But this is one of those things where it's like it has we talk about sometimes those mediums, those stories that are meant for you, because it's just like it has this and this, and those are the things that like right away I know I'm drawn to those, and then they're done really well. It's one of those where it's like it has like 3 or 4 big things for me in terms of like sci-fi elements and some of the things it gets into with time periods and things, and there's a whole lot of different stuff going on that really draws you into it in ways that are awesome to me. But in terms of characters, frankly, the characters are kind of boring. The characters don't really mean a whole lot. And with the caveat of looking into some of the past things, there's some like recordings and stuff like that you find that become more and more important as you go throughout the game. Those are incredibly well done, and it's very interesting to see the connection between what you're doing and what's happened in the past. I don't want to say too much more than that.
Yeah, please don't.
But there's a lot of connections there that make the characters interesting. But the characters themselves, and you mentioned open world games getting boring. I will tell you, after about 4 hours into this, I said, screw this. I'm not touching another side quest because I need to figure out what the hell happened in the story.
Oh, okay,
it is so good that I literally just said, I'm not talking to any other characters. I am going as hard as I can through the story because I need to figure out the story. The story is so good. Like I don't want to pause and go climb 18 mountains to get to the high point and go do the hunting trials. Nope. I need to get to the end of this because the story is so good. But yeah, so the story essentially is you're an outcast. You come back into your tribe, and your tribe's like the very isolationist mindset of we are here, we don't leave here.
Yeah.
And then
You leave.
shit happens
Yeah.
and you get to leave, and then
Yeah.
more shit happens, and as you discover more about the world and what's going on and what's happened and where things come from and how things are the way that they are and what everything is and how everything's related to everything else, this story just gets in these crazy different things. I almost think back to Uncharted 4 with the way Uncharted 4 kind of paints this picture of different things that you're not directly involved in, but you
Okay.
get a
Yeah.
good sense of what's going on.
Oh,
It
that's
does the
yeah. That's,
same. It does the same kind of thing in this, where it really gives you this picture of what's going on, even though you're not playing that piece of time.
oh, that's pretty cool. I actually, I really love. I do not like Uncharted 4, but I love those scenes where you're trying to piece together the past story. So,
Yeah,
ah, shoot, that sounds really
there's a
cool.
lot of that going on in this, and uh, but again, there's the one downside I will say about story wise is a lot of the stuff where you're doing like, okay, you need to do, this thing and this thing and this thing, like, just that falls flat. It's got your normal RPG, like, oh man, I don't know where my cousin went. He was gardening outside the city gates. Can you track him down?
Gotcha. Yeah.
The side quests are not great. They have a couple more specific ones that do tie into almost those like loyalty missions in Mass Effect, where it's like, oh yeah, this character who's kind of an important piece of the story, you can do a couple things to help him, which get a little bit more into like the universe and the lore and what's going on with that. But
Yeah.
your quest menu actually just has one that's literally called a subheading of errands.
Uh.
Like to the point where they're just like, we're not even, you've got like main quests, side quests, errands.
Oh,
Like
jeez.
they're not even disguised.
I mean, are they
Not
like
even
even
disguising it.
interesting or like or
No,
anything? Like, is it just like just padding, just trying to make that?
it's like padding. Like the last one I did, the last one I was playing it, because now that I finished, I've been going back through just kind of try and mop up some of the stuff here and there. The last one I did was my daughter disappeared. I don't know where she went. And you're like, oh, there's a trail of this, and you follow it, and then you're like, oh, she got on a boat and went to that island. You go to the island, and she's sitting there, and like, oh no, I was supposed to meet my boyfriend here. He's not here. Can you go find my boyfriend?
Oh God.
And then you go find your boyfriend, and your boyfriend's dead, and you come back and go, oh, he's dead. Okay, I'll go back to my dad now. Those
Yeah, yeah.
really intriguing RPG side quests that you get so often.
I mean, yeah, I know that's just like that point A to point B. Yakuza actually is a very very funny one. That is that, by the way. They do a very good joke about a quest like that. But yeah, that is a kind of and the thing that has always scared me about this game particularly is because I played Far Cry 4 and I did not enjoy Far Cry like at all. And I played a little bit of Watch Dogs 2 and I didn't it's not a bad and the thing is like they aren't I like totally acknowledge they're not bad games. They're just like not for me. But it's that sort of like collectathon, errand running sort of thing like that to the point where it's like these cool mechanics end up becoming not cool after a while because you're doing the same damn thing over and over again. Do you get that sense, or is it just because the game is mixing up creatures and mixing up things that it's like it's not?
They've managed it much better than I would say you do in that. I feel like my thing with Far Cry and those kind of games is there's like hundreds.
Yeah, yeah,
It's that unattainable status that like you need to put hundreds of hours into this to finish it.
yeah.
The way this game breaks it down is there's like the collectibles are broken down into a couple things. There's your like super main collectibles, which have like your trophies tied to it and everything. And then there's more
Mhm.
the lore collectibles, which are just kind of scattered throughout the universe. So there's metal flowers, which are like you're like just go find this random shit in the middle of wherever.
Yeah.
There's ancient vessels, which are something else that you need to find, and we'll just leave it there. Then there's like the like high like the Assassin's Creed like high points.
Hmm.
So you've got those things, but there's only about 10 of each one.
Oh, okay, okay, that's not
So
bad. Yeah, yeah.
in pretty much from the get go, like I bought it within probably an hour or two. You can buy a map that just has all those on there and just gets added to your world map right away. So you can kind of get them as you go, as opposed to having to do that like, oh crap, I guess I just need to go walk around this big ass place, and it gives you within like 50 feet. It's in this range, so
Okay.
it's very easy to find. The other ones though, where it's like if you are really like that, like I'm gonna 100% this game, that's gonna be like a bitch. Is there's all these like audio logs and text things and different stuff like that that you can kind of go find throughout the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many there are. It looks like there's hundreds of them.
Oh,
Those
jeez.
are just scattered around, but those don't have any trophies tied to them. There's nothing tied to them. That's just more of you're just like if you want to find these things,
Yeah.
and most of them are fairly obvious when you get to main story points, but there's a few kind of hidden around throughout the world. But those are the ones where if you're like that, I need to get 100%. That's going to be the one that's a pain to get.
Yeah, because I think the thing with like Far Cry especially is like I was just trying to get to the mission and there's like a million things. Like there's a side quest over here, a side quest over here, a side quest over, and they're never like when you do it, it's like okay, I found the thing. It's like well, great, okay.
Yeah, this has a much
More focused.
unless you're on the world map, you don't have that. The world map's obscene. Like the world map, it's really cool because it shows elevation, which I've never seen before. So you can like actually see the elevation. Like it's what is that called? A topographical map, right? The one that
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
shows the elevation. So like you can look and go like, okay, so that's a mountain, and next to it's a valley, and then it's flat here, and then there's a mountain. So you can actually like see that on there, which is kind of cool. But
That's pretty neat.
it's because like the creatures, you can hunt the different creatures and stuff, the different like robot dinosaur looking things,
Yeah.
because you can hunt those things. Each one has like hunting grounds, so there's like 100 of those like little icons there, like this is a Ravager one, this is a Watcher one,
Oh,
this is
gotcha.
a Sawtooth one, and there's like 18 spots where those things are scattered around the map. So the map looks really full if you're just looking at it from the overhead, but in terms of like your look over there, there's not really a whole lot of that other than your main quest.
That's good. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, that's good. That actually that kind of sets my mind at ease.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like open world games, and I hate that kind of crap, and it never once bothered
Yeah.
me.
Because I'm literally just using this review as like because we just because you bought Metal Gear Solid 5 before I did, and I was like, if he says this is anything like Crisis or Far or what's the other game I thought you might say it's like, then I'm gonna go buy it. And you mentioned I was like, okay, I guess I'll go buy it. Yeah, and the game also looks gorgeous too. God dang,
Oh
the
yeah.
game looks so good. I was surprised. I keep seeing like screenshots from. I was like, I can't believe they. And I'm not one to usually say okay because I don't really care if a game graphically looks good, but it graphically and just the art looks like fantastic. I don't know. I love how those monsters
Hmm.
look. Is it
Yeah,
is
they're
it
pretty cool.
is it pretty consistent like throughout that? Like just a gorgeous looking game.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's got that Uncharted thing where there's like a couple things where it's like, ooh, if I just tilt the camera back, that'd make a really cool wallpaper. Like that kind of like
Yeah.
there's those times where it's like you almost want to pause. And the game does day and night cycles, which are really really well done. And the same thing with some weather effects, but almost irritate you because of how nice the game looks. That's like, I'm coming into this new area and it's nighttime. Like I want to see what
Oh,
this
you want
looks
to see what it looks like during the daytime?
like
Yeah.
in the day. I bet this looks way cooler because there's definitely stuff out. Maybe I should just sit here for 20 minutes and wait for. I had that 1 or 2 points where I was like, okay, you're coming over like the crest of a mountain into this new area. And I'm like, oh, it's dark. I
Sit
wish
here.
it
Wait.
was light because I could see everything down there and that'd be cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is one of those games that everyone needs to play. It's
Yeah.
this even with the list of games you can rattle off that have come out in the last 2 months. Like
Hmm.
again, I haven't played Zelda, haven't played Near yet. So I guess just comparing it to what's the other one that's on that list that I have played.
Yakuza. You haven't played that
I haven't
one.
played that one either. Anyway, compared to apparently none of those games, this is easily
The best one.
compared to no other games. This is the best
Yeah.
one. But this is one of those games where I can tell you right now, this game will have a. If this game is not the best game that comes out this year for our Game of the Year awards at the end of the year, I will be shocked. It gave me that same feeling I had with Uncharted 4. Where it's like, nope, this is the best game I'm gonna play in a long time.
Dang. Until you play Nier
Or Zelda.
or Zelda. Are you getting a Switch? We'll talk about
I
it later.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, no. It depends on the day.
Oh, Mario's good.
Yeah, me too.
So if you
Let's
like what you
develop
heard,
somewhere else.
yeah, you guys can sell it for Wii U. You are one of the few with a Wii U.
I'm not buying that game on a Wii U. Hell no.
So we're Workforce Gaming. If you like what you heard, you can follow, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, or you can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. See you guys next week.
Bye.